Today's show is sponsored by our friends at OrcaCoolers.com. Orca is about to drop college coolers. They've been out for a long time. They have 20 and 40 quart coolers that are going to be coming out. There's so many schools. I can't even name them all, but you SEC fans, Auburn's on here. Mississippi State is on here. University of Kentucky's on here. University of Alabama is on here. Ole Miss, University of Tennessee, South Carolina. The list goes on. It is not just SEC schools. It is other schools as well. And if you use code DADSEASON, you will save 20% off the price of that cooler. So say the cooler is $279. That is over $50 you are saving on that. They also have awesome tumblers like those whiskey barrel tumblers. Check them out at OrcaCoolers.com. Make sure to use code DADSEASON for 20% off your order. Today's show is also sponsored by our friends at DistilleryProducts.com. They took some time off for the holidays, but if you are a distillery, a bourbon group, a podcast, a store, whatever it is, and you want to have laser etched glassware at the best prices, they are wholesale prices. Make sure to go to distilleryproducts.com. They just partnered with Mir, so they not only have glassware, but they have also swag, these Mir coffee cups. You have, and the Mir tumblers, and you have all these other things like flasks and stirs and coasters. They do it all at distilleryproducts.com. Check them out. Tell them the dad sent you. Last but not least, and certainly not least this week, because it is the week of the big game. It is the big enchilada, the whole shebang. It's the last clash. It is a bowl that is very big in the NFL. And our friends at Action247.com have all of the action for you. So if you want action, get in on the action with Action 24/7. There is a free bet on Wednesday when this podcast is going to come out. Thursday, if you bet $20 on the first offensive play, run or pass, you'll get a free $10 bet to use on hockey. There's another surprise thing on Friday. Saturday, there's a risk-free bet up to $25 on the first touchdown scorer. Sunday, if you bet $50 on the total points, you'll get a $20 free bet to use in game. Also, there's other stuff going on. They also do fun ping pong Fridays. If you use code DADS100 up till the Super Bowl, they will match up to $800 of your first deposit. Make sure to check them out at action247.com. All right, you got anything for me?
Well, John, I did, but then I thought it was only appropriate in lieu of a cold open if we just have a moment of silence for your boy TB12 hanging it up.
I don't know how silent I'm going to be about this, but let's talk about it after the break. Hello, everyone. My name is John Edwards. With me, as always, is Zeke Baker, and together we make the Dad's Drink of Bourbon. Wherever you are, whatever time it is, thank you for making us part of your day. Fired up now, Zeke Baker. I'd ask you how you are, but I don't give a shit how you are because you brought up the one thing that has been on my mind all day. I put up a story on Facebook. I put up a story on Instagram, and I basically said, so all the people in Boston, they're giving Tommy B a whole lot of shit because he didn't mention the Patriots in his farewell address. He just did a freaking 9-hour documentary about his whole time on the Patriots. I know because I just watched it and I just finished it 2 days before he said he was going to retire. I watched the whole Tom Brady documentary. It was 9 hours only about the Patriots. Didn't have any inkling, one thing, one iota of his time in Tampa Bay. It was 9 hours about the 6 championships he won with the Patriots and everything that went through there. The man brought 6 championships to New England. When he left 2 years ago, he said, thank you to all the fans. Why is anybody bitching about Tom Brady not saying, I'm a Patriots fan? I know y'all are going to hate me for it. I know I just said y'all and Patriots together, but that's the weird thing that is me, who has lived a little bit more than half of his life in the South, but the beginning of his life in the North. And I'm a Patriots fan. I thank Tommy B for everything he did. I'm trying not to say Ka because you just got me like in that mode, Zeke, and I know I'm going to ramble, but like the man has been through so much. He was wrongfully accused of cheating just to get the Patriots back. He was suspended 4 games for not turning over his cell phone, even though he turned over all of his emails, all of his messages. I don't know what Goodell wanted to see other than Gisele's nudes that were on his phone. Like, you can't suspend the guy 4 games for not letting you look at his naked wife. Like, I don't know what else Tommy needed. What else did he need to do? What else did he need to prove? This is the media looking for ways to give him shit and tarnish his legacy because people just, for whatever reason, maybe he's too good looking of a quarterback and Joe Burrow looks like Pete Davidson and that's what people want to see. Like, I don't get it. Why do you have to do that to the man?
Just so we don't forget or get lost on this, Pete Davidson has a hell of a Rolodex.
He does. Well, and it's so it's a whole theory. I wanted to talk about the last show, and for whatever reason, I didn't. It's not that Joe Burrow looks like Pete Davidson. Everybody said he looked like somebody else, but like if you think about Pete Davidson's Rolodex, you have Kate Beckinsale, you have Ariana Grande, you have like these other models, you have Kim Kardashian. Did anybody expect Joe Burrow to be in the damn Super Bowl?
Especially, and I hadn't really thought about it too much till he hit the other day, but like, I mean, this is almost still a rookie season. He didn't finish last year. He got injured. So, I mean, he is very much still almost rookie-ish caliber or, you know, as far as his time in the league.
I know.
I'm not saying the way he plays, but as far as how much game time he's had and experience time.
And we don't even count it against him that he went to LSU.
Hey, they've had some hell of a teams down there.
But what I would say is it's the same thing, right? Like you don't expect Pete Davidson to be with Kim Kardashian, just like you don't expect Joe Burrow in his second season essentially to be in the Super Bowl.
No. Well, I mean, hell, who would have thought the Bungles would have been in there, period.
I know.
But either way, I wasn't trying to rile you up, Tom. I was trying to, you know, be respectful for once. I know it's so rare it gets misconstrued and everyone thinks there's a sucker punch hiding behind it. That was just a genuine nice thing I was going to do. I even thought this morning, like, oh shit, I need to take notes today and like see what I've got down for opens. I'm like, oh no, TB's hanging it up. I'll give John some due respect here for once.
I thank you for that, even though I didn't play. I mean, give the man the respect. Don't give me the respect, but it really irks me. And, you know, I was talking to my dad today a lot because the coverage was on in New England the whole time. So when I called back home, he was like, they just keep talking about Brady. And for some reason, they really wanted him to say goodbye. I'm like, what more does the man have to do? Like, people are going to nitpick. And one of our followers on Instagram wrote back to me, well, if you're going to be that good of a quarterback, you got to deal with the scrutiny. And I'm like, I'm all for scrutinizing. Like, I understand scrutiny, but at what point is it just too much? At what point does that scrutiny turn to you're just looking for reasons to give that guy shit?
Personally, and obviously being born, raised, and growing up most of my life in the South, because it's always been the South, this part was out West too. I just kind of thought, well, you know, that's just how them people are.
But I don't necessarily think it's them people. I think it's the media. I'm swear.
Sure they're not helping.
The media was the one who brought it up. It wasn't anybody in New England that was slighted at first. It's the media bringing it up going, hey, Tom Brady just did this retirement thing and he didn't mention New England at all. Well, when he did the freaking documentary. That was him mentioning New England. P.S. I'm retiring from you, Tampa Bay, but here's 9 hours of enjoyment for all you Patriots fans. You're welcome.
So the two other thoughts I have. A, do you think he decided to hang it up after that unsportsmanlike penalty?
the first one he ever got in his whole career.
Yeah. One of my boys said that on group chat, man, and we always like busted out. Like, ooh, which I'm honestly surprised like some dumbass in the media hadn't brought it up too, because like if one of my buddies can think of this, somebody else can. But what if that really was like the tipping point? Like, bitch is going to give me an unsportsmanlike when I got a bloody lip? My lip is bloody.
Is Wayne Brady going to have to...
My second thought, too, it just seems weird, especially, you know, being a quarterback, being iconic to say the least. I mean, again, that's a huge understatement. How do you not come back for the victory lap season? I can't think of a big name quarterback, and you know, unless it's somebody that got Theismann or whatever, that didn't get in that like announce ahead of time or, you know, early on in the season, like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give it my all. But when I come see you in your stadium this year or this season, that's it. This is the farewell tour.
I totally get that, though, because then everybody's different. You know what I'm saying? At least he's going out seeing people and it's normal and it's not weird. But then if you think about wanting to live a normal life, and he wants to be able to be around his wife and kids, and he talks about that in the documentary too. Like as he got older, it was doing less of those voluntary workouts because he knew what workouts he had to do, and he could do them at home and see the kids instead of having all this kind of stuff. You think about that victory lap. If you tell people you're leaving and then all of a sudden every single place you go to is this big event because it's Tom Brady's last game here, Tom Brady's last game there, and the whole season you're not even trying to win a championship, all this distraction comes to the team. And like, you got to remember, even though he was in Tampa, he's still a Patriot for life. And the Patriot way is do not be a distraction. Even at Michigan, he was taught the team. They were taught that from Bo Schembechler, and it was that whole philosophy from Bo, and it was the team. Brady's MO is not to be an individual. He is a leader of the team, but his MO is the team. And doing a victory lap is the antithesis of being a team player.
It is still, at least, from an outsider looking in, to me seems like a very quick or sudden decision, whereas I think the perspective of, hey, and you can still go out there and try to win it all when you've announced it's your final season. Big Ben still played his heart out. Look at Peyton. He did it. Favre, he made the playoffs.
But Peyton didn't announce it was the final season before he went and won it. After he won it, he said, okay, I'm good.
I thought when he got those last two, before the second one, it was just kind of like, yep. To hell with it. We're going to give it one more run. Let's see what happens.
I mean, it was the neck, but he didn't say like, hey, I'm retiring. It was, he won, so he felt like he had to go again. And I also feel like if you're Brady and you come back, the end of that game was so rough. To tie it up after being down so much. You come back, you tie up the game, they win on a field goal. When your defense can't stop them after you work your ass off, at that point, it's like, in his mind, I know I can still come back. I haven't lost any skills. If anything were to happen from 44 to 45, he knew he's leaving the game healthy. He knew he was working on his pliability and all that other stuff that he did. He knew that his body wasn't terrible. It hasn't broken down. And he does have young kids. Don't you want to save that? Like, what happens if he comes back one more year? His heart's not 100% in it and he gets hurt. His whole life is different with his family. Like, I get it. You weigh on that stuff. I mean, when you're 20-something years old, you're like, screw it, let's go do it. But at 44, you look at that a little different.
Yeah, I mean, at 40, I'm still nursing this shoulder around.
Is it still black and blue?
No, the bruising's gone, but I don't know. I have to go to PT now.
And with your scrawny arms, I mean, you're not lifting more than 5 pounds in each arm anyway. So I don't know, like, what you're gonna do.
My drink weighs more than 5 pounds.
Do they have weights low enough that, like, do you have to do a 1 pound weight? Those like Target weights, the ones that are like in that pink coating? Is that what it is?
I mean, I haven't been yet, but let's be honest. I'm hoping it's just like bands.
Hey, speaking of Tom Brady, that's what he does.
See? There you go.
We could talk about this for a very long time. I just want to thank Tom Brady for a wonderful career. I'm sure we will talk about the Super Bowl in more detail next week. Prior to the Super Bowl, I do want to remind you that up until the Super Bowl, you can use code DADS100 at action247.com, Tennessee's only sportsbook by Tennesseans for Tennesseans, and they will match up to $800 a year deposit. We already talked about that in the ads, but seemed like a good time to remind you. As we move on, this is a very special blind from our friend Jeremy Fisher, who, like some other people, was dumb enough to send this to Zeke Baker. I know there's a backstory here. I know Zeke has had this blind for a very long time. I don't know exactly how long. I know that Zeke is supposed to read something before and something after. I will let you take it away, Mr. Baker. What's going on with this blind?
I did think the funniest part of this is I was pulling this out to drop off at your place. The UPS label, it shows like a, created, printed on date, whatever, 2/21/2020.
So this is a 2-year-old blind.
I'm here 2 years old. And I know Jeremy brought up a few times, just, in various comments on, Facebook groups and stuff. And I'd always laugh and be like, dude, I've still got it. I haven't even touched the damn thing. The box is in the house. And I think he always thought I was like lying or bullshitting that I either lost it or drinking or something. Jeremy, I wasn't lying. Sometimes I'm just a little slow with stuff.
Sometimes.
So this is the one that said open before. Hope you guys have fun with this. Drink number 4 last. Do not drink number 4 in the middle or first. I think you guys will like all of them, but I would love to hear all of your honest thoughts and opinions before you know what they are. Have a good time, Jeremy.
If you send us a blind, we ask, number 1, don't send us like 6. Send us 3 or 4. Make sure we have an envelope. We don't want to know what it is because we want to objectively talk about the whiskey or whatever it is that you're pouring in here without us knowing what it is. Sometimes we look really good. Sometimes we look really dumb. But either way, we always have fun. And let's taste through this just one by one. We are tasting this on the fly. We are going to try to give notes on the fly, but none of this. I'm talking a little bit longer so that I can let Zeke gather his thoughts on this first one, so then I can take a sip while he's talking, while he's going, well, nose on this one.
No, I'm not even nosing. I'm just going to taste these straight out of the round. I've been doing that a little more lately. I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like it's warranted, and then sometimes just kind of like, this is fun. Let's be loose. Let's be relaxed. Like, after I divvied these up, I messaged John, like, all right, we're just going to admittedly have a bullshitting show. Sample these on the fly, light notes, as far as I picked up this or that, liked it, didn't like it, loved it, would have saved it for my neighbors if I'd known what it was, kind of thing. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. You never know. We've both been half busy lately and felt like a good bullshit, but hopefully not too much of a ramble show would be fun and lighten up the mood for everyone. And anyone coming out of dry January, cheers to you. Hopefully you're back able to enjoy nice spirits and not just water or soda or something.
We're not going to sit here and shit on it. You just have more discipline than either one of us. So congrats. Hats off to you. Now go have yourself a drink.
I mean, the key, if you're going to do a dry month, let's be honest, you do February, 28 days.
I don't know why they don't do February. I mean, I know it's after the holidays and I'm with you. So number 1, I have to say, Zeke, there's a lot of dependencies here. I've poured this into a glass unlike you. Depending on where I put my nose within the glass, it's either hot or it's got like this really nice caramel, thick consistency to it in the nose. And it's very sweet. It's almost like some filling you would have with some chocolate around it. But then other parts of the glass, and then once you take a sip of it, all I'm thinking of is, give him the heater, Ricky. That kind of sounded like Macho Man. Sorry.
It did. I was like, I know it. It's almost like watching this whole last season of Squidbillies. Because, Unknown Henson's off the show and they cast, or not cast, I guess cast is the right word. Who knows? Tracy Morgan is now Early's voice. So instead of hearing like the redneck Henson voice, you get Tracy Morgan. But the lines are the same. I mean, same caliber, same jokes, humor. I was telling a buddy the other day, like, it's just a mind, you know what I'm going to say, warp, for lack of a profanity.
Oh, yeah, Mean Gene, I know what you mean.
I mean, you're sitting there and you see in the character and then the line's the same and you process it the same, but then when you're like, it's just not the voice I was expecting, like...
I know.
I thought it was strong on oak, not overwhelming, but that was definitely the most noticeable and predominant flavor I picked up. Got a good little bite. It's good and peppery. It does have some heat, but it doesn't overwhelm by any means. It might push the limit a little bit. Overall, it's good. It lingers. Finish hangs around some. A fairly tacky pour as far as, sticking and adhering. I have my guess for this one. Do you?
I mean, I wasn't specifically thinking about guessing a brand. We've never done that.
I mean, I do if it pops in my head. I won't like try to fetch it. If I don't know, I'll just say, hell, I don't know. It's bourbon. I was just, hey, it's a bullshit show.
It is I mean, you went into it saying we're going to have a bullshit show. And then you're like, name the brand and name the proof.
I just said, do you have a guess? It reminds me a lot of Russell's Reserve. Okay.
Did you move on to number 2 with that face?
Fair enough. And yes, I just had a little nip of number 2. But you got to figure, we've had this for 2 years. Those Russell's picks back then were a little bit different than what they're turning out now.
100%. That was back in the drank more turkey days.
Yeah, this is way back. Yeah, I just took a slight nip of number 2. Do you have that one as well?
Now, I don't know if it's like, I mean, I'm not going to lie. This one kind of smells like a fart. And I did not. It was not me. I did not fart up in here. It just...
I think I'll save adding the descriptors, but we all know there's different aspects of a fart.
I do not know this.
Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes, you get like the egg aroma. Sometimes just rank.
I mean, this definitely is more egg than anything. I would say that this is a little bit of that like sulfur. What is it? Sulfur dioxide?
I don't know.
That's the rotten egg smell.
That sounds right. I would believe it if you use that answer in trivia. In case anyone hasn't picked up or heard us say this before in the past, John has a ton of random, useless knowledge that I don't think anyone knows why is there, but he can bullshit on anything for a good 3 minutes.
I say 15 minutes on anything. But I was wrong. It was hydrogen sulfide. It was close, but it was no cigar.
Well, your 15 minutes of talking will be everybody else's 3, so we're on course here.
Fair enough. What did you think about this one? And I mean, I truly do not believe this is anything against what Jeremy sent us. I think that there could have been storage issues. Zeke could have stored it in a hot place instead of a cool, dry place. Like, there's a lot here, Jeremy, that I'm calling bullshit about the way that these samples were handled.
It's been in the original box above the fridge over here for forever and a day. The main thing I get off of it is minty. I don't know, but it's minty, but it's not dill. You get mint and you think 95.5 is a default. And I guess it could be something related to that. Looking through the round, the liquid's still clear. It hasn't, oxidized or anything. It's been airtight. What do you get?
I mean, if the nose is a fart, I definitely do get the mint, and that is consistent. Like, I would say that there has to be a very high rye content, if not a rye, altogether for this one. The nose still, though, I'm befuddled on how I get that nose, and I keep going back to it, and it's still there.
Right, you keep going back to it, even though you think it's a fart. That's a whole nother conversation.
It's one of those things. I'm like, maybe it's going to be different. Maybe it's going to be different this time. Maybe.
There's a lot of angles we could take with that. And I'm just going to let that alone because the show will run way too long and we might even get in trouble for vulgarity or something.
I mean, technically, we're not going to get in trouble. We just try to be better than dropping F-bombs everywhere.
I meant vulgarity in a different way, but.
Sure. Have you moved on to number 3 yet?
I've had a nip of it. Again, I'm just kind of nipping these and, and officially, the only guess I could possibly have for 2 was 95.5, some description, just because it's so minty, but who knows?
Agreed.
Third one, I don't think it's the same as number 1, but it reminds me more of that profile. A strong oak, leather, not overly sweet by any means. So I would assume it's a, somewhat aged product. The heat's not as noticeable as the first one was. Finish kind of toned down as well, but I definitely enjoy it. Like where you kind of got some of that heat on number 1, I don't get as much here. And so to me, this is probably something slightly lower proofed, still a good age to it. If you like that kind of whiskey that you can tell took some time, been in the oak, it's enough to know it's there, but not overwhelm you. Kind of like a, later in the evening kind of pour where you're a little more mellow and a little more chilled. And hey, I don't need as much oomph right now. I just want something to savor and to get a profile out of.
I don't know if you were done, but 100% I'm with you. Zeke just had a little coughing fit right there. For those of you that can't watch at home, you can only listen to us. Giving you the play-by-play. He's taking a sip of his drink right now. We're going to see if this man is composed and can finish the 4th quarter. But I agree with you 100% on the oakiness. This was a very thick, very bold pour, had a lot of flavor. I did not get too much heat. I did not get too much rye. It wasn't any real tingle or spice. Like, this just went down nice and easy, but it did a lot for what it did. It's almost like an Apple versus an Android. Like, it's not going to give you the whole entire world, but what it does give you with an iPhone is just simple, easy to use, very relatable. And that's how I feel this pour was. I know that doesn't give you like tasting. I mean, just caramel, tons of caramel, vanilla, oak, leather. That was very much there.
It's a big back half. To me. Like the front half of my tongue literally didn't pick up much of anything, but on the back, it just, hit every single spot, I feel like, and I still have a little bit of, sensation going on there after the fact.
If this was a pick and we were able to sticker it and we didn't do like PG-13 stickers like we normally do, I would call this pick Back That Ass Up.
Oh, I was just going to say business in the front, party in the back.
See, that's kind of more of a Dad's Drinking Bourbon sticker rather than Back That Ass Up. We let other people do Back That Ass Up. We would do business in the front, party in the back, and probably have a picture of you with a mullet. And
I was going to say, if he wasn't just god awful to look at, our buddy James Smith would be a prime candidate for this, but I can't imagine anyone buying a bottle with his actual face on it.
No, they'd spray paint over it and call it the Silver Bullet. All right, last but not least, we are going on to number 4. Now, for some reason, he said have this last.
I'm intrigued by this because, like I say, it's in there. I read it off. It's in there twice. Make sure you don't mess with this until you've had everything else. And I don't know. I mean, me lately, I've been on a big chartreuse and or mezcal kick. I haven't been on the bourbons as much lately, honestly. So that's where my mind goes to. First off, is like, how far of a curve is this going to be?
It doesn't look like chartreuse with the color. And I know to have a good little sip of chartreuse every day because it helps with your digestion. Anybody who doesn't know that, the more you know, just imagine the rainbow and the shooting star going across the screen right now. But chartreuse does help with digestion. I would say, though, that this is a very much lighter color than the other drinks that were in this blind.
I don't have notes yet. I'm going to need another sip to probably get there for a couple of thoughts. But the first thing that I notice is whereas 3, I said, was a completely back half, this is opposite. This hits me on the front and just goes to town on all the senses there.
I almost wonder if this is an Armagnac or a cognac.
You think so? I don't think it's a cognac just because I can sense enough proof there. And very rarely do you find a cask strength cognac. They're normally 80, maybe 90 tops. But I think they're all around 80.
It's got to be an Armagnac then, because there's no way it just does not taste like bourbon. It's got more of a heat to it. But I get your notes. I just think that it does not taste like a bourbon to me.
I'm thinking finished. I think it's finished bourbon and something. Armagnac, this has a good singe on the front. Like the lips get a tingle.
Maybe finish in cognac?
I don't think it's a wine type or like sherry or brandy or any of that stuff. I mean, I still get pretty good nutty flavor and notes, but just for the amount of proof that comes off of it, and from what I've at least had in my experiences with most Armagnacs, especially because they're usually 25, 30 years old. You just get kind of that older French oak note that shows the age, and also sometimes a little like ethanol or something almost.
I'm still going to say my notes are going to be 3, 4, 1, 2 in my order of what I like best to worst. So I like 3 the most, 4, whatever it is, the second most, then 1, 2.
4 is good. I mean,
I like it. I still like 3 the most just because I like that mouthfeel a little bit more than 4, but I do like 4 a hell of a lot. It's very good.
Yeah, I'm almost surprised at the make sure you have it last because it's going to throw you off and kind of like stick with you. If anything, I would have thought 2 would be the one like, save that little guy for later.
Yeah, I mean, the second I had that nose, I had to do something else to get that thing out before I went to 3.
But at least we were consistent in this, so it's not the possibility of like, well, Zeke poured 4 and put a 2 and a 3 and put a 5,
So are you the same order? Or are you 3, 4, 1, 2, or are you 4, 3, 1, 2?
I get a little too much tingle off 4, and I might even go back and put 1 as my second. It's more oak forward than I normally go for, but the way it just kind of stuck and held and hung around, but never overwhelmed. For whatever reason, at least tonight, I appreciate it. Normally I like a sweeter bourbon. That one, I thought for what it had, it was really balanced and where I would want it to be.
Let us go to the envelope.
We'll try not to Steve Harvey this or anything.
You're doing a good job. And the Academy Award goes to...
Hey, I just like people to know that, I left these closed.
We can hear the envelope. It's okay.
For 2 years.
I'm surprised the ink didn't fade by then.
Yeah. Paper didn't tear, luckily. Oh, wow. This is funny. Number 1, drank more turkey. CNF variety. There were 2 for that pick. There was a CNA and a CNF. It was the CNF.
You called it.
I'm telling you, sometimes I can tell some rustles. Sometimes. I don't know.
There's something with my sample, though. I'm saying this, like the whole thing was hot. Anytime I've ever had CNF, I am going to pull out the CNF and like have some next to this because something happened here because it's way too hot for what we had.
I didn't get that much heat. That's what threw me off. Unless you just been busy and that was the first, taste of something for the night. Because if you come in, even though it's only 110, it's the first pour of the night, especially some Russells that have that backbone to them of just, oof.
I mean, that was my first pour of the night. So maybe I should have probably gone back to it. But anyways, I can't take it back. I said what I said.
Number 2, Whistle Pig, Elixir and Whiskey House, which means you and I helped pick it.
So this is one of those ones where everybody gives us all of our picks back. Okay.
Not the whole way, but wow. I remember that one having that much mint to it at all.
I get a lot of mint and I get a lot of chalkiness from Whistle Pig, but I didn't get chalkiness from that. So
Number 3.
I like how I thought our own pick smelled like a fart.
Well, at least you like your own brand, John. Number 3, Chattanooga whiskey, a Valley Wine and Spirits pick. It says 10-year MGP at 108.5 proof. So not their own distillate, which I think we both agree would be a much more malty, different type of product. This is back when they had the MGP still. Like we said, we've had these for 2 years, so apologies. I would guess that's probably the lower rye from MGP. You talk to the Chattanooga folks more than I do. Do you know which one they had, or if they have both?
They had both, I think. Okay. So, I mean, especially with the single barrels, you never know.
Yeah. And number 4, which light whiskey, Tarix, Down to the Elixir, one of those flight risk picks. I think this might be the first one he did. This might be the one that he and I tasted.
So 147 or?
Yep. 147.3. I think this is the one we tasted after the Old Elk pick, like literally in distro parking lot.
And I liked that one a lot.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. I mean, we said it was good and kind of simple-ish, but sweet and just hot.
Well, I was right. It wasn't bourbon, but
Interesting enough. That's funny though. Thank you very much, Jeremy. Sorry it took 2 years for us to get to this, but again, I did not lie when I said I hadn't lost it, drank it, or done something with it. I'm just a little bit slow some days.
I'm really pissed because Drank More Turkey is still my favorite. The CNF, I think that was my favorite turkey that we did. I am calling shenanigans.
I mean, I've had folks, especially since, it's been so long since we did those, and obviously have opens and whatnot and revisit them from time to time. And I've had a few people in the past probably 6-7 months say, hey, how often do you go back to these? I'm like, man, what I've got, I'm scared to open. Like,
yeah.
I know what I have rat hold for down the road, but I don't want to open it because I still want to revisit these one day, like all our other picks. You just hide them out of sight, out of mind, so you can't touch them. They're like, man, whenever you do, it comes around. It takes a little bit, but man, I'm like, okay, all right, no, fair. I'll keep it in mind.
Thankfully, I only have 2 A's left and 1 F. If I have one that we can open and mess around with, it would be an A.
I'm not sure what my count is. I know I did buy an F off secondary.
Shit's bad when you're buying your own picks, bro.
Oh, man, I even had to bin it. The guy messaged me. He's like, I feel kind of bad. Let me cut you a little bit of a break. And I'm like, hey, man, whatever you want to do, like, market's market. I get it. Yes, I'm buying my own damn pick, but fair is fair.
And then he's like, screw it. You pay what I said. Anyways, this was a lot of fun, Jeremy. Thank you so much. To all my other Bostonians out there that were driving in the car, going to the bar, watching Tommy Brady, this one's for you. I'm going to have a drink for you tonight. Don't go to the bar by yourself. Everybody can commiserate. It'll be a good time.
Hey, at least they don't have to worry about ever playing him again.
I know. Y'all can find us on Facebook at Dad's Drinking Bourbon, Twitter at Bourbon Dads, Instagram at Dad's Drinking Bourbon. Please leave us an open, honest review, just like we leave open and honest reviews about the whiskey we drink. Zeke, where else can the folks find us?
Good old Music City, US of A.
Cheers.
Ciao.